Guys, so in today's video I'm going to be talking to you about something that I'm not exactly happy about. Um, the most requested video that I've had by far is to make some sort of troop meta guide or a troop guide where people can get a better idea of what to spend their resources on, because there's, a finite limit or amount of troop coins and troop coins that you can acquire each day. And it's sad news, but unfortunately the answer is far too easy. I'm going to be giving you a short tier list for the early game PvE content, PvP, and my speculations for the troops to use for the 16-man raid. I hope that this is not the case, and I hope this guide or this video will be outdated soon, because unfortunately the meta is small. So for the S tiers, double S tiers, triple S tiers, it's the Scorpion and the Slaughterer. So the Scorpion and the Slaughterer do everything that other troops can do, minus a few specific cases, but better. Scorpions have the best range DPS, the best AoE DPS. The Slaughterers have the best single target DPS. Unfortunately, this is the case, and I don't think there's anybody that can really argue with it. The early game content, there's really nothing that you ever really want to worry about as far as defensive goes. If you have pure offense, you should be able to beat everything very, very easily. And because of that, the two best units to use are the Scorpions and the Slaughterers. And yeah, it's as short as that. And I'm sorry to report it, but it's the case. So in the A tier are units that do well. However, aren't S tier because Scorpions and Slaughterers do part of their job better than they do. And those units are the Archers and the Mortars. Archers are an A tier unit because they're going to be cases that you want something to hit air units, and none of those three units that I'm mentioning can hit air units. Also, a lot of the Archers do have supportive attributes. For example, the Rosarain Archers, which you can see right here, do have a heal, and they also do have a physical attack aura that goes up to, I believe, 11%, which is very valuable, and it hits all your allied troops and I believe your hero as well. So it's a very valuable troop to have, and I think that's why it deserves the spot in the A tier. Mortars being the second A tier unit is because it is a very, very good unit for beginners. They require very little to no micromanaging. Their base DPS and range is super good. They do have a ability which it's an auto attack modifier for them that does enable them to stun, and at level 7 it does stun for 7 seconds, which can give you a lot of breathing room, and I would definitely recommend it to a lot of players if they need something to, kind of slow the game or stopping the damage that's incoming so that you can use potions or regroup or restabilize. So moving on to C tier, and honestly, or I'm sorry, B tier, and honestly here and downwards are troops that you should probably spend none of your resources on at this time until they either get looked at or because you want to satisfy some sort of composition fantasy that you have, which, is by no means not wrong at all. This video here is meant to describe the meta. The Cavalry and the Crusaders. The Cavalry are here because they have some niche uses as a kiting tool to defeat content with far less people than is recommended. One particular situation of this is the invasion of Katie's 8-man mission. You can do it with 2 people if you do have cavalry to use a kite and to take the attention of the majority of the enemies, while you and your compadre thin out the stragglers as they slowly fall off of the aggro range of the cavalry. And the Crusaders are also in this B tier because they do have an aura, and this aura is good for adding some defense to these defenseless Slaughters, pretty much. Their defenses are laughable, but their base HP is really high, so if you supplement their defense with some with some Crusaders, you could find some benefits in that. Also, this God's Blessing can give them defense to survive some strong offensive attacks. The self-sacrifice also does allow you to resurrect some of those dead slaughterers. And remember, the physical attack of your troop in total is the sum total of all living troops. And this can definitely be seen if you look at ranking up a troop. The number of troops goes up, and that's a big reason why the physical attack goes up. You can see that the physical attack increases proportionately to the number of troops. And you can also imagine when a troop dies that the physical attack then temporarily gets decreased by the amount of living troops. So one can theorize, or one could do the calculations where the physical attack of an individual unit is the physical attack divided by the number of living troops, or number of troops, to get a better representation of the actual physical attack of each individual troop. So, moving on to the C tier, and those are the mages, and particularly the Royal Mage. It's a great unit. It's fun to use. However, its job is better done by the Scorpion. It requires more micromanaging. The base attack is pretty bad. The defenses are pretty bad. So, in almost every aspect, other than cool factor, it is better than the Scorpion, or is worse than the Scorpion. And I don't think there's very much more to say about it. So going on to the D tier, I have the Muskets, the Armor Worshippers, and other melee units, Healers, and Spearmen. These units are either too defensive in nature and won't really see too much use in the early game content, as if you are offensive enough, you can simply just DPS your way through everything, versus trying to strategically mitigate damage and yeah. So DPS is king here, and unfortunately, the only one here that is supposed to be DPS unit is the Muskets, and it seems that they're not working as properly. The only thing that they seem to be doing a decent amount of damage on are Ogres and Scorpions. Fortunately, the Slaughterers do more damage to both of those than the Muskets. And on boss units, it seems that they don't do very much damage at all. This is not the case with the purple version of the unit, because it seems to be a brand new unit. Brand new meaning they took a model from the 5-star blue troops and made a separate purple troop, which required them to make new stats and stuff like that. And it seems like they fixed it. So the purple troops do seem to be a bit different than the blue Muskets. So bear that in mind. And moving on to the PvP meta, the groups that you should definitely be paying attention to here may change because of the level of experience they have with the English version. I've done 3v3 a few times, but it's not enough to make these generalizations, so I do want to disclaim that. So the PvP meta in this game is not too much different from the Russian version from what I've seen so far. I've done maybe 5-6 3v3s, and the damage values and everything seem to be pretty much identical to the Russian version. So the PvP meta here is, again, S tier Scorpions and Slaughterers. It does seem that HP pools have been increased, so I would actually put Slaughterers in the A tier on other versions, but it seems that Slaughterers can survive a Scorpion Shockwave, which in other versions would leave them dead, so positioning was way more important. However, now that it seems like they can survive, and you can just bandage and heal them a significant amount, and then kill the Scorpion, it seems like those two are staying in the S tier. Another reason why that you should be getting those to 5-star, at least 4-star for late game. In the A tier, we have the Mages. Mages are strictly PvP units because of the amount of damage they do, but also the kind of nimbleness and low profile that they have. You can cast a spell and then run away and let the damage be done, during the duration of that spell cast. And but the problem is with them is that they get one shot by Scorpions. They can be rooted by Rangers and then soloed. Archers can do a significant amount of damage to them as well. So they have a lot of weaknesses, but the damage that they do and the nimbleness they have in PvP makes them a solid pick because their range is just so drastically large. So definitely keep them in mind. In the B tier, we have the Spearmen and the Mortars. Spearmen go up to B tier because of their ability to close off choke points. The 3v3 mode in this has to do with getting a center node and being able to cap it. It's like a 15-second cap, it feels. And if you can block off entrance points with Spearmen, they could definitely see a lot of use there. And this is where they would really shine. The next B tier unit here is the Mortars. Mortars offer a lot of disruptive damage, knocking down enemies. They have the 7-second stun, which should allow you to essentially kill a hero, no problem. Mortars also do tremendous amounts of damage to scorpions, so that's something to definitely keep in mind. In the C tier, we have the archers. Archers don't really do anything here that anyone else could do. Their DPS is okay, like it's consistent and it can hurt a lot, but scorpions and mortars are probably going to do a better job. Archers are probably better at killing heroes than any of the other troops that I've mentioned, and yeah, that's why they're in the D position. So in the C position, in the D position, you have the blue muskets. Their range is just too short. They get one shot by scorpions. Their damage on heroes is not, at least on rangers, because of the high agility, isn't even that great. And when you get into melee range of them, which is very easy, they can't shoot, and because of their low range, that's going to happen often. So the amount of micromanaging that they require is just really, really large, which distracts you from the other troops as well as your hero. So I would definitely stay away from them. Now moving on to the speculations that I have over the 16-man raid. So in the 16-man raid, Scorpions are obviously the best AoE range DPS, and you're going to need a lot of AoE range DPS. Your melee is going to be your Scorpions. You have a lot more HP on those Scorpions, so bandages are more effective. 5-star blue Scorpions had like 112k on the other version, I believe. And on this version, they have like 400. So that's a almost 4 times increase, and you should expect, also 4 times increase the amount of healing that bandage does to them. The other thing that you're going to need, and this is extremely important, I think this is something that people are going to not be able to clear stage 1 because they lack enough of, are archers. So the gear check in this version, in this stage, the first stage, is a flying unit. And melee units can't hit it, and so you're relying on your rangers as well as your archer troops. So that's definitely an S tier troop for stage 1, as well as Scorpion being S tier for stage 1. And then as for like a B tier unit, we have the Mortars because of the large AoE DPS, but also the stun to slow down the damage that the Scorpions may receive. And then everything else, also in that B tier is maybe at 1 healer, a single healer. But since you're going to be using a lot of Scorpions, the healer might not be able to do very much. So the healer would only be in this tier if you had a lot of tank units, and by tank units I mean like 5-star blue troops, if anything, or like heavy infantry once you have those. Another thing you can use is the cavalry to do a lot of kiting. But the 16-man raid is going to be doing a lot of damage to cavalry because of the amount of spearmen in stage 1. And so that's why they aren't as effective as you may think. And in the C and D tier for the 16-man raid is essentially everything else. From what I can tell, those are really the best units to get through stage 1. Archers, Scorpions, and maybe some other supplementary units. You're looking at about 8 Scorpions, about maybe a slaughter or 2 to kill any ogres that are overextending, and the rest are going to be archers. So that's about it for my meta guide here. I would want to explain that I'm not happy with this. I definitely don't think that 2 units should overshadow all the other ones so drastically. Their damage either needs to be tuned or there needs to be other drawbacks, whether it's increasing the cooldown of Shockwave, whether it's making Slaughterers even more flimsy, or to make other things stronger. I have no idea, but unfortunately, the differences between the units are just so drastic that it seems that any resources that you spend on other things are just for cool factors, class fantasies, composition fantasies, or just not being sure of what the meta and what the strongest troops are. So I hope this video was helpful for you. I am not feeling very well, so this video took me a little bit longer to make. But if you liked the video, please give me a subscribe and drop a like if you liked it. If you didn't like it, you know what to do as well. And I'm looking to make more of these videos in the future. So yeah, you can also find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/macro with an underscore. I stream pretty much every day. You can ask me questions on there as much as you want, and I try to give you the most objective and honest answer I possibly can, which often leads to me actually not answering questions, because some questions, if I answer, I feel like I would be more hindersome than helpful. So yeah, have a good one, okay, guys? Thanks.